I went to Emory University as an undergrad. After undergrad, I majored in psychology. I actually started working as a juvenile probation officer. I worked as a juvenile probation officer in my hometown of Saginaw, Michigan for 4 years. Always wanted to be a lawyer, so I ended up going back to law school. I went to law school at Syracuse. After I graduated from law school, I went back to my hometown and served as a prosecutor for approximately 2 years. And then after that, I left that job and moved here to Detroit and joined a law firm, a big Detroit law firm of Miller Canfield, where I joined the Labor and Employment Practice Group. I was there approximately 3 years. Then I left to join my current firm, Foley & Lardner. And Foley & Lardner has been in Detroit. It's a national firm, but it's been in Detroit a little over 7 years. And I joined the firm approximately 3 or 4 months after it opened its office here. So as of this past January, I've been with the firm for 7 years. And I still specialize in labor and employment law, which is within our litigation department. Just some general comments on some tools I utilize and things that I did to make it through to the position I'm in today, from the prosecutor's office to being in a big law firm. And I became a partner in the firm 3 years ago as well. One thing that I realized early on, even as a prosecutor and also in my former firm and my current firm, is once you join these firms, you really have to find what I like to define as a champion or a mentor, someone within that firm who has your career and interests at heart. They really want you to succeed, so it's important as early as you can to identify that person. A lot of firms and companies have mentoring programs where they may assign you a mentor. That champion may be that mentor that they've assigned you to, and they may not. And you have to understand, of course, being a minority, this mentor, this champion who's looking out for you and has your best interests at heart may or may not look like you. So you really have to have an open mind. If you're working in these big corporate law firms, there will not be a whole lot of people who look like you anyway. So you have to find someone who's going to be your champion, who's going to mentor you. And you really have to take, once you're out in practice, you really have to take ownership of your own career. I mean, sometimes the partners and the lawyers are very busy, so sometimes you have to go to them and ask them, for feedback, for constructive criticism, and what you need to do to succeed. I mean, it goes really far with the partners in the firm if you actually go to your mentor or another lawyer and say, what do I need to do to succeed in this firm?
But some of the pearls of wisdom that I really wanted to share, as Philip was saying, you establish your MO early, which I did by being very methodical about how I approach trying cases. As I indicated, the bulk of my career in the Navy was as a prosecutor, so I became very methodical on how I tried cases, how I organized my records, and the same practices that I established very early on in my career, I still follow today. And what I have found is that the Navy, the military system is much more structured and much more disciplined than the civilian practice. And I find that there is more discipline. Of course, there's discipline we have on a uniform. And I tell you, one of the other reasons I went into the military was because when I was in law school, I was in a clinical program called Law Students in Court. I went to Georgetown University Law Center, and it was one of the biggest programs in the District of Columbia. And I really listened to what the judges were telling me from the bench, and one of those things was, you need to tone it down. They didn't come out and say I was arrogant. They said, you need to tone it down. And so I figured, well, the Navy, I think, would be a good place for me to learn how to tone myself down and become a little bit more humble, because I could go to jail if I didn't watch what I said in the military. And that was very real for me. So it worked for me overall. But one of the other areas that Lila wanted us to focus on was how I use my strengths to empower myself. And I believe that I have 3 categories of strength. My categories are natural strengths, spiritual strengths, and emotional strengths. Now, my natural strengths are that I'm naturally argumentative. My mother said it my entire life, so I believe her, along with everybody else. I'm very analytical, and I've taken all kinds of personality tests. I didn't really need to do it to prove the point, but when I did, it did prove the point. And those personality tests have taught me, by and large, that I'm a leader first and then I'm an analytical second, only with a maybe 2 or 3 point differential. So I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in life right now. I'm a leader in the JAG Corps. As I said, I have been selected for captain, and I actually do command a unit. I command the Navy Marine Corps Appellate Review Activity Reserve Unit out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Even though I live here, I travel there to command a unit. So I'm following those natural strengths. And I'm very assertive, and I've been told that I'm outspoken. So I use that in the courtroom, my outspokenness and my assertiveness, my analytical abilities, because anybody that's a prosecutor, I mean, as a lawyer, period, you have to possess analytical skills, and I believe that I'm utilizing them to my best ability.
Networking, I think, if those of you that were in Aaron Reeves' session earlier, networking. You have to do that in order to look for opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't know of. A lot of things are not posted anywhere. It's just by word of mouth or by someone that knows your skills, your capabilities, and you really need to be able to advocate for yourself once you are networking. It's not just good enough to say, oh, I know so-and-so. It's better to say, yes, I know so-and-so, but they also know me. They also know what I can deliver, what I can do, what I'm capable of providing to someone. And a lot of that networking for me came through outside organizations. I am involved with the Black Women Lawyers Association in Chicago. I also, for sororities and fraternities, a lot of us that are African Americans still use that as a great resource in terms of networking. I'm still very active in my alumni chapter, my sorority. And then also, one of my passions is the youth. So I serve on the board of directors for the Girl Scouts of Chicago. I've been a member forever and ever, as I was a kindergarten all the way through high school, but then when I returned, I started a Girl Scout troop and then just became more and more active in that organization and took a leadership role on the board of directors. So through those types of affiliations, people get to know who you are, not just your name. And it's really important, as I said, to network. And that's how I was able to network my way into Cargill, and then just due to personal reasons chose to stay in the Chicago area. And then I started out at one large law firm, and then more for personality fit than anything else, I chose to look at other opportunities, again, because you have to decide within yourself when is the right time to make that move. And you can't stay somewhere where you don't feel you're getting professional development growth and where you're not personally happy. So you have to make that decision. No one else can. But what I did do during that process when I was trying to figure out when is the right time to move, another piece of advice Aaron offered this morning was your board of advisors. You can't just talk to one person because they only have their perspective. You need to talk to a wide variety of people, and that means you need to have that board of advisors in place so that you know who, from the different perspectives, and then from that, hopefully you can kind of determine what's best for you. But sometimes we do need to hear different perspectives in order to understand where we need to go.